Okay, so I think we're good. So you said Erica's going to be a few minutes late?
A few minutes late, and is it going to be I might have to pop in and out. We just have stuff going on right now, so I might have to pop in and out.
Do you mean...
Well,
you have other stuff going on? Not just this?
For the door opening.
That's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, it should be fine.
Hopefully they'll leave me alone now, but
no,
you never know.
It's totally fine. What do you have going on? What do you... I know there was an acquisition recently. It's not to do with the acquisition.
It doesn't have to do with the acquisition. We did have an acquisition lately, though. You might have seen it in the press.
Yes, very exciting. Does that change your job at all?
Not as of yet.
Linda.com? Is that
Not
how
yet.
you pronounce it?
Yeah, Linda.com.
Linda.com.
Yeah, I think it's a great acquisition. I'm pretty excited about having learning content as part of the LinkedIn package, because we've talked a lot about, developing your career, but what does that really look like in an online world? And I think that's pretty strategic.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's that missing component
piece, exactly,
of where you just kind of go, okay, this is great, but then now what do I do?
Yeah, and now I know, what jobs are available to me or what skills I need to have, but now what? And that fills that piece, which is fantastic.
I have 2 really serious questions for you before I start.
Okay.
Before we really start, which generally means that they're not serious at all. But they're kind of, so the first one is kind of serious. So which is, how do you put the setting on your LinkedIn profile so people cannot see that you're looking at their profile? Is that easy. Possible?
Yeah,
it's easy. You go to settings, which you can reach from your little picture in the upper right hand corner.
The one with my face.
The one with your face.
Okay.
So you go there, and then there's account settings under that, and then you go in there and. I think it's, what is it? It's under profile. There's a section all related to profile viewing and how you're representing your profile, and it's in there somewhere in the tabs.
Yeah, because I had this really funny experience where a former boyfriend, we, broke up, and we didn't talk for a couple months, and then we're emailing again to say hi, and he was like, I noticed you've been looking at my LinkedIn profile for the past 8 weeks. And I was, what I was trying to do is he kept popping up in my feed, and every time I go in, I could not figure out how to disconnect from him, because it was one of those things where I'm like, I don't want to see that. And then I would just, something would happen and I would get distracted. I'm like, I can't figure this out right now. So then I would go in, and then I would try it again. So finally I had one of my engineers help, but it was really funny / not funny, because I was thinking, he thinks I'm crazy. Because there's nothing to see, but it was like I was trying to go in and figure it out. Yeah. And then 2 days ago, what's today? Tuesday? On Friday I had a meeting with Qualcomm, and one of the ladies that I was meeting with said some joke like, well, I already know about you because I was stalking you on LinkedIn. Couldn't you see that I was looking at your profile? And she goes, no, what do you mean? And I said, well, every time that you look at someone's profile, it shows up they're looking at you. She's like, what?
Oh
what
my
are you
gosh.
talking about? I was like, no. Her face turned 3 shades of red. She was like, wait, they can? No. I'm like, yeah, they can, unless you go in and do the setting. But I'll find out for you when I go to talk to the gals from LinkedIn.
It's very simple. It's just under your settings. I mean, the one thing...
Are you trying to make me feel stupid?
No,
it's really simple.
No, because I think people think that it requires a bunch of steps and maybe even calling us or what have you. It's a little bit hidden, to be fair. I don't think, it pops up immediately when you log in. So you just have to know the navigation.
Gotcha.
The one, because I have had people ask me, wouldn't everyone just want it anonymous? Why wouldn't you?
Think.
However,
people hate seeing anonymous though when they're looking at who's viewed their profile.
Well, there's that, and there's also so obviously meeting with reporters a lot. In some instances, they actually like having the anonymity.
Yes.
Let's try to speak correctly.
Anonymity. That's a hard word.
Turned off so that the people can see that they're looking at their profile. Because if they're doing a soft piece, like a profile on a CEO or something like that, where it's not going to make them kind of back in the corner or anything scandalous or salacious, they will actually want them to see that they've been doing their homework. So, for example, we did a training with CNET a few weeks ago, and he was saying he was doing, it was a finance writer, and he was saying that he was doing a piece on a CEO, and when he ended up calling the CEO said, hey, I've been expecting your call. He said, we've been expecting my call. I was like, yeah, I've seen that you viewed my profile the last couple of days. Thanks for doing your homework. He actually appreciated that he'd done the due diligence of, he only has 15 minutes on the phone with this person.
Right.
He doesn't want him asking him, so how long have you been at this company? Like, those questions.
I guess it's all circumstantial.
Yeah.
Ex-boyfriend stalking, not so much.
Yeah. Well, the other thing I really like doing with it is if I see some sort of junior UI developer or mobile developer kind of looking at my profile, I'll often reach out and be like, hey, noticed you were looking at my profile. You look like you might be an interesting person for us to talk to. Do you have any interest in talking to us? And I can kind of use it as a recruiting
that's
it's a soft lead.
Yeah, that's actually a really good kind of segue to talk about because we're obviously the audience is largely, I would say, PR people, comms people, and also entrepreneurs. You have any insights or tips on best ways to really utilize the platform and LinkedIn from a PR standpoint for recruiting? I think those would be some interesting topics to explore.
Yeah, well, I think I can give an anecdote for how I used it, which might be relevant, especially to PR professionals, because a lot of times you're probably looking to do a piece on some sort of topic and you want to know, like, who are the experts on this topic that I can talk to? And I used the platform in that type of scenario actually to help plan technical panels for the Grace Hopper conference. So I was in this working group with the Anita Borg Institute, and we were coming up with topics that we wanted to do, but we didn't always know who were the experts that we could actually have as part of these panels. And so I did a bunch of research using LinkedIn, searching for people, connecting with them, telling them what I was trying to do, and then they would often introduce me to people in their network who they thought were also strong to talk about that topic. And so, using the platform both from a research standpoint as well as a connection standpoint was really powerful, and people got back to me within like 4 hours of when I reached out to them.
And you were looking at just the people that were listed as experts, or just kind of in certain subject areas?
I was sort of searching for keywords that were aligned with the technical topics, along with maybe companies that we thought would be interesting to have on the panel, and then just looking at the search results and looking for women who might be experts on those topics.
Interesting. Yeah, no, that is a good tip. I think it's kind of, I always look at LinkedIn as a potential, really like recruiting, but it's like your resume, and you never know what can kind of come out of it. Hello!
Hey, how's it going? Yay. Nice to see you. Sorry I was a little bit late.
No, you're great. We're going. So
I'm sorry.
No, don't be quiet. This is very informal, conversational. You look great.
Oh, thank you.
You guys both look great.
That's fantastic.
Very like
Thank
springy.
you.
I just tend to wear black and gray all the time. I can't help it. It's just easy.
Get older, more brighter colors.
There
you go. Yeah.
Eventually you have a purple hat
and
or
then
something.
more glitter and.
Did you ride your Google bike over here? Did you steal a Google bike?
No, I didn't. No.
I was just asking them, and then we'll go back to our very serious conversation about how to use the LinkedIn platform for PR and recruiting purposes. But I said I'm going to tease you guys and ask, when you see Googlers, like ride by on their bikes, do you secretly want to like open your car door and there's like a competition? They're like all over, all over your campus, running around on their bikes.
I think it depends who you ask.
My husband's at Google, so it's always a competition.
Oh, yeah. That's really
My
good.
boyfriend's there too.
Oh, really? Funny.
Do you carpool?
No, for the sake of our marriage, it's better. I'm on my schedule, you're on your schedule.
When you guys get home, do you say, hey, what happened at work today? We can't talk about, do you talk about work at all? Or
a little bit. Some things is like, I can't talk about this. Yeah. So.
Was he on the engineering side as well?
Yeah, Android. So, yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Very good. We'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
The Google LinkedIn competition continues. So you guys are winning today for sure. So we were just kind of talking about how LinkedIn can be used for like PR purposes and also recruiting. Is pretty interesting. Obviously, I think, and this is just more of a practical question, but I think that there's probably a lot of things that LinkedIn does that people don't really realize. Like, I know I just found out like a couple months ago that I was allowed to write blog posts on there.
That was going to be my point.
And I've been posting, and I think that's a really good way. And then, I don't know really how you become an expert, but maybe talk about what the criteria is for that, for people who want to submit.
To be an influencer?
Influencer, is that what it is?
Yeah.
How does that work?
So you're right. We just recently unveiled the publishing platform to all users in the U.S. And that's to your point of PR.
So I'm not special anymore. That's what you're saying.
You're an influencer.
Everybody
in my
can
heart.
do it. Okay. Got it.
But to your point of PR and how it's kind of shifted the game for us, certainly, because we can have our employees directly tell their story. So one example being at Grace Hopper last year, we actually had a lot of the attendees write their own posts talking about their experience there, and it just lends itself to showing a different perspective rather than just one kind of corporate canned story. It really shows everyone's take on it. A good example of that too, in terms of different angles, with the Linda acquisition last week, I don't know if you saw the official announcement, but what we did do is we had Linda herself write a post.
But she's an actual person.
Yeah, she's a
with
CEO.
a Y.
Yeah,
Linda with a Y.
And she looks kind of like the logo.
She looks exactly like the logo.
God, that's amazing.
But she wrote a post, and then Jeff wrote a post, and then the product manager, the team manager rather, Ryan Roslansky, wrote a post. So it showed all three different angles and perspectives about that one acquisition, and I think
that's brilliant.
It makes the story so much richer, and obviously it also reaches so many more people, and it's reaching each of their individual audiences. So,
I like that.
Yeah, it's a great.
Are you guys bracing for the engineering? I guess the engineering will be affected by the acquisition, I'm assuming, on some level.
Yeah, as far as training material and things like that, yeah, definitely. I mean, we've talked about different ideas of what do we want to put into Linda and things like that, but it's just barely kickstarted.
Yeah.
It's so fresh, yeah.
It's
So
fresh.
Yeah.
But,
So have you guys gotten any awards or accolades lately? Like you did last time we spoke, you were both listed at the top. Okay, the top 22 powerful women engineers in tech.
mm-hmm.
Your face was right on the front too. That was awesome. Any other things going on? And I know you guys love talking about yourselves. I mean, you did it so well at Grace Hopper. You were very proud of the. Kinley was feeding me all the info, but. No, what are you guys, in all seriousness, what are you guys working on right now? Anything exciting that you want to talk about? Anything new coming down?
Yeah, well, I think I mentioned that I recently joined the Girl Scouts of Northern California board, which is definitely an honor, if not an award.
Yeah.
And so that's definitely something I'd like to talk about a bit more.
Yeah, we'll talk about that a little bit more. What about you?
We formally kicked off Women in Tech at LinkedIn, so I'm leading that at LinkedIn. Sarah's leading the community track, so we're basically tackling the problem on 4 different prongs, so we can deep dive into that, but I don't know if you want to talk about that now.
Yeah,
but
I definitely want to get to that.
Okay.
So,
but as far as any particular awards, no, I think Henley's nominating some of us again, so we'll see what happens.
You guys will end up somewhere, I'm sure of it. I'm sure. So let's talk a little bit about the Girl Scouts initiative, and we can kind of dive right into the Women in Tech, because I think it's really the next important topic, in addition to really how to use LinkedIn to the best of someone's ability. But I think the stuff that you guys are doing in terms of STEM and Women in Tech is really important too. So why don't you?
Girl Scouts of Northern California has been doing a lot of work in the area of STEM in the last few years. They've really beefed up on hands-on science programming, and then also are putting an emphasis on robotics and computing training, including programming. And so basically, I joined the board to help them work on the most effective ways to reach the population of girls with STEM programming, to get them engaged, to keep them engaged. And essentially, I love what they do, because it's not only introducing girls to these technologies and topics, but they also provide a lot of growth mindset and leadership training to overlay on that. So it's really the sort of life preparation and mind preparation for going into a male-dominated industry, in addition to the hard skills.
Right, because half of it's confidence. It's in addition to the actual hard skills like computer science. So I think that's amazing. Yeah. It's not you were saying earlier, it's not your mom's Girl Scouts?
No, definitely not.
A campaign, we can see the headline, from cookies to computer science.
Absolutely.
That's
we're
true.
doing it. We're going to start a hashtag. That's a really long hashtag.
You guys are making my job easy.
We're going to come up with a couple more of those throughout the recording. So what about you? What's the Women in Tech initiative all about?
Yeah, so the Women in Tech initiative at LinkedIn, several of us have been doing it informally, like Sarah and a couple of us from LinkedIn, but we decided to actually kick it off as a formal initiative, a change initiative, actually. So I'm leading it, Sarah's leading community, we have Kenley and other folks on the comm side, but we basically strategize of like, if we want to hit this on all 4 different prongs. So like we have basically 4 areas that we're focusing on, and we created 4 different tracks and different leads for those areas. So one is empower. That's really about empowering the women at LinkedIn, and that's through workshops, through mentorships, things like that. And we have women leaders that are at LinkedIn that are leading this track, actually committing 20% of their time. It's like part of their job that they're going to be measured on, and then they're out recruiting another 10 folks to be part of that task force committee, and that's again 5% of the time. So these are people that it's not just, oh, go volunteer, let's see if we can make something happen. It's like, no, this is like a true commitment of your time. And so we have one track is the empower. Second track is called attract. It's about attracting more female talent to LinkedIn and retaining them. So that's about kicking off events where we're going to work with some of the women across the valley. A lot of similar companies are doing it, Google, Twitter. It's about bringing more of like that social networking group of women across the valley together.
For just the engineering side?
So just for it's just, you actually have R&D, so it actually includes engineering and product. So it includes both, and design and web dev and data operations and things like that. So
all the technical roles essentially.
Yeah. Right. We're casting a pretty wide net, which is great. So that's again about attracting more of the technical female talent, and then also just looking at our internal processes. What is it like when we have women that come and interview at LinkedIn? How are they going through the process, and making sure that experience is pleasant, so that you have all the way from bringing them into the pipeline all the way to actually closing it out, and making sure that we have diverse interview panels and things like that. Just really taking a look at it. And again, one of our senior directors, Annabelle, she's leading it 20% of her time, completely committed to doing this. And then another third area is basically culture. I'll let Sarah talked about community, but culture is also it's about inclusive culture, unconscious bias, about men and women. So it's really about understanding our culture and creating change there. So we have several initiatives that are focused on that that we'll be rolling out this quarter, but everything's measurable and we want real results at the end. And then the fourth one is community, and Sarah can talk to that. And then before we go into community, we're also looking at some horizontal stuff, like what's our communication piece, our comms piece of how we're internal and external communication. Grace Hopper, we want to actually, good news from a meeting with Pat, we actually want to triple budget approved, everything's going good. Like, we have just complete executive sponsorship behind this where they want to go big.
Yeah, that's really what it takes in order to do it. You have to have the leadership behind it. I think the other interesting thing about unconscious bias, that was a huge topic, obviously, Grace Hopper last year. And I've even started noticing, on the flip side, the female unconscious bias towards other females. You don't realize.
Yeah.
I wrote our job description, and I sent it to a couple of my female engineering friends, and they were like, "What are you doing?" I didn't even realize I was doing it, because it is that thing where you're so unaware. Mm-hmm. And I think even in the negotiation process of a company, I mean, it's hard. You don't know how to necessarily ask for what you need, and women typically are a little bit more shyer. Is that a word? More shy about asking for money. So I think even that part of it is really important. So hopefully you guys are addressing some of those issues.
So I think through the workshops, definitely we want to address those issues. But you're right. Who's the one person that we did a workshop where they talked about?
Lori McKenzie.
Yeah, Lori McKenzie, and they talked about the different words that you would even use, like in a review that you'd give someone, and for men versus a woman, it's like, oh, very men, it's very results oriented. Like, oh, and then hers, like, oh, she's really collaborative. Like, just what are the words they used? It was more communal words.
And was it identic?
I forget, but there's two different descriptive. More is like women are described as more communal, and it's like, oh, easy to go along, works really hard, but it's like, where's the results, right? Oh, a different review. Oh, shipped X results, got 300% increase in signups, or things like that. It's just how you actually describe someone's work, and an introduction of that person can make a huge difference.
Yeah.
So. And the same word describing a woman and a man are differently perceived differently. So,
he's assertive.
He's aggressive.
And aggressive. With a female, it's like, do we really want a female person female person? assuming a female is a person and not like a horse, aggressive and assertive.
Exactly.
That
so
gives pause.
It has a negative or positive connotation depending on the gender. So.
And we're actually looking into some tools to actually scrape this type of content and be able to say, oh, are you using the right, do you have unconscious bias in your descriptions and things like that. So it's actually going to be pretty cool. Yeah, and then
so the community task force, basically, we're focused on partnering with various nonprofits that are addressing the STEM pipeline overall. And then our theme for 2015 is to inspire more high school girls to pursue computer science education.
And how are you doing that? Out of curiosity, give me a couple examples.
One of the most exciting
projects. This is what we want.
I should go for it.
I think you should go for
it.
Okay,
all right. So basically, we came up with this notion, kind of out of my own experience, where if we gave high school girls exposure to an actual programming situation during a summer, that they would actually fall in love with the tech industry and want to pursue education in computer science. And so we're actually going to pilot a program this year where we bring a handful of high school students, both in web development and software engineering, to be mentored to work on teams and to have like a real experience of what the tech industry is, what it is to develop software.
Here at LinkedIn.
Wow.
That's awesome.
Yeah, more of like a trainee. More of a trainee program. Like they may not have any experience whatsoever, maybe, or something.
Yeah. So just
really cool.
And we're getting some girls through our partner programs, which are Technovation and Girl Scouts, to fill those roles.
Yeah. Well, you have to let us know how it goes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
I'm hoping for great results. Yeah.
And then what happens after? So they go, are these like high school seniors, or are they all kind of 9th to 12th grade, or what happens after, just to keep them in the funnel?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that's part of what we're going to measure, right? Is do they ultimately pursue those degrees and complete those degrees? We'll keep in touch with them. I think we're actually looking at juniors going into senior year and seniors rising to freshman year of college. That's the age group that we're hoping to impact. So right at that decision point where they can say, hey, I want to do this, before they commit to another road.
Yeah, and just to add a little more color into that, some other ideas is like, how to keep it going. We have like developer her hackathons. It's like, do you go out and target these type of individuals and keep them going into the pipeline? Maybe we sponsor them at Grace Hopper like the next year. It's like you just keep on, having that investment there, and we can actually create change.
Do you think, and either of you can answer this, it's interesting, I moderated a panel for Dell at South by Southwest around women in tech. And the filmmaker behind Code, was one of the people on the panel, and then Tamara Hudgens, who is the executive director at Girl Start. They were both on the panel. And my theory is that in 10 years, we won't be having these kind of conversations. Do you guys think that's accurate, or do you think that I'm completely off my rocker? I'm hoping that I'm not.
I personally agree. We recently had a meeting with Witty, and that was the same thing. It's like their job is to be out of a job, like in 10, 15 years.
What's Witty? I've heard of it, but what's Witty?
The women and I forget the acronym. International. I don't know. I'll give you
Women
that.
International Tech.
Women in Tech.
Women in Tech.
Yeah, something. I forget the acronym. But they've been around for a long time. But we recently met with them about a week and a half ago, and their success criteria is actually to close the program out. Like, it should no longer be a problem if we actually do this right. It should be gone.
What are your thoughts, Sarah?
I hope 10 years. That would be awesome.
Yeah, that
it shouldn't be discussion.
Should cycle through.
Yeah.
I remember too when I first met you at Erica. When I met you at Grace Hopper, you were talking a little bit about your daughter. That's such an interesting anecdote that I would love to kind of have you share again, in terms of how we don't even realize how we're socializing males versus females in terms of technology.
Yeah, it was just a simple thing, just trying to figure out summer camp for my kids for the first time and getting them enrolled, and there wasn't that many options. But I knew I wanted to get her into Lego camp like my son, and thinking they would come together. And I remember calling to try and get her into the program, and they're a little bit different in age, but they said, "Don't you think she's too young for this? Do you think she's really going to enjoy it?" And it was just like a simple conversation of discouragement on the phone. And I just was like, at first I was thinking, if I wasn't like who I was, I'd probably be like, oh yeah, what other things? Do you have a Barbie doll camp or something like that? That you can fit? But I'm not like, I had two choices. I'd be like, do you know who the F I am? Let me like, give you a piece of my mind. Or like, no, she actually should attend. She'll be fine. Everything's going to be there. Her brother's going to, it's like, I'd rather expose her to that. And they're like, okay, sure. But just so you know, here's a backup camp that you can go. But it's like, no, continue to force and push it forward. But it's like little things like that. It can make or break a decision of like putting someone on the right track or not. And
I think it's all unconscious.
It's totally unconscious. Like, I don't think anybody's malicious. Like,
No.
they're just thinking, honestly, this is like the stereotype. This is the box that you fit in, and this is where you're going to go, and this is where you'll be the happiest, right? It's like, here's the happy path. Oh, that path seems a little bit foreign, not normal. You know what I mean? So it's like, why am I going to go in that direction?
Yeah, and I think part of this whole conversation is just eliminating ignorance around it. I mean, when you can educate people and say, this is the new way it is, and that, okay, that's fine. And I think that sometimes what happens is there's a characterization or mischaracterization around men in technology, which is that they are maliciously doing this thing. And I fundamentally believe that 99% of them do not even know that they're doing it. And so we talked about this too, I think last time, which is how do you, and this happened, that big blow up at Grace Hopper with Nadella. It's, how do you engage them in conversation and educate them as to their own biases? And then on the flip side, it's like doing the same thing, like we treat them a certain way that maybe they don't appreciate either. So how are you guys engaging the men here at LinkedIn in terms of women in engineering? What does that look like?
Well, that's, I think really big part of the culture track that we're trying to address is that this is men and women together. I think the first step is being aware of our own unconscious biases and what does that look like, and then having, an environment where it's comfortable, where we can call each other out when it happens. And that's definitely what we're trying to address through that work stream.
And to add on to that work stream, specifically what we're going to be doing is we're actually going to have a consultant interview the men and women at LinkedIn and have these conversations. And we've had it successful in in the sales organization at LinkedIn. It's like the first thing in order for you to do something about it is understand your current culture, understand how people are feeling in the trenches, and then it's like, oh, how are we going to go about fixing it? So I think the first step is understanding what it is, how are people feeling, and having those one-on-one personal interviews and with men and women independently and seeing how they feel. It's like some men will be like, oh my gosh, they felt that way, and there could be some really surprising results. So
yeah, and then the other thing is all of the work streams in our Women in Tech initiative have men on the task force groups. So it's meant to be inclusive. Like this is a problem we're all solving together. It's not just women for women.
Sure.
Yeah, because if you think about the people that are making the decisions, right, they have to change also. They're the ones that are giving the opportunities to women. I mean, they're at that level, then they're the ones that are making the decisions. So if you also don't change that mindset, then it's not possible for change.
It kind of has to be a holistic approach to it. Sarah, I remember you also saying, talking a little bit about how you even got into engineering, which I thought was interesting. From more of the design aspect of it. Yeah,
and that's where my own experience kind of fed into this roadmap initiative to bring high school girls in for programming. Basically, I was studying applied design in college, and I was all the way in my senior year and got recruited to work at this software startup. And they basically had a product that was essentially a WYSIWYG web page creation tool where designers could make a nice layout, and then it would export as working web code. And they hired me to do technical support and sent me to programming classes, and I just thought it was the most amazing thing. This whole new internet concept was amazing. Yeah, so I'm dating myself now.
Still young.
Yeah, but I just saw that this would be a really cool thing to work on, and I wanted to learn more and pivot my career that way. But I don't think, my exposure to computer science in junior high gave me that spark of inspiration that I had when I was actually in a software company, working on a modern software project. That's when I really got the passion for it.
Interesting. And Erica, what about you? I don't remember exactly.
So I first was interested in computer science at the high school level. So, but I didn't have self-interest. It was more like I just enjoyed math. I was really good at math, and it was one of those subjects my dad just said, be really good at math, and everything else will be okay. I'm actually horrible at spelling, English, all those other things. Didn't work out too well, but it's okay. We kind of joked.
You're very well spoken.
Okay, thanks.
As long as your code doesn't have typos.
Exactly,
it's okay.
they do have typos. But it's okay. We want them short, right? Those methods. So I basically enjoyed math, and I had a teacher that just decided to invest in me and say, "Hey, why don't you take this AP class in computer science?" It really wasn't something I thought about. It was someone else saying, "Oh, here's an opportunity. Let me invest in you." And then it took off from there. But it was just that spark of interest.
So you had that mentor sponsor.
Yeah, that just kind of planted a seed. It's almost like planting the seed, like, oh, it's possible. You actually can do this, and just showing you kind of the way. It's like, oh, I probably would have not thought about it before.
Are you going to the? Should you go to the Girl Scouts thing? I'm inviting myself to the Girl Scouts mentor weekend. No, sorry.
Oh yeah, I was telling her about this really cool event we have once a year called Camp CEO, which you should consider this as well.
Okay.
Basically, we take a bunch of women leaders, business leaders, up to one of the summer camp properties with a group of girls, and it's like
how fun.
2 or 3 to 1. But the girls are all high potential girls that have applied for this experience, and we basically do a 3-day workshop with them. So they do a day of prep work before the mentors arrive, but then when we get there, it's all like growth mindset and identifying their leadership style, and then they have us go on the ropes course together, and we like overcome our mental blocks that way. So it's a really amazing experience.
I asked her specifically if I would have to sleep in a tent, or would there be cabins?
I would be asking the same question. I'm not a camper, but if there's lodging.
There are warm showers for everyone.
Okay. That's number 1.
Your own shower?
Number 2, there's a cabin.
Tent cabins.
Don't say the tent part.
But
just the cabin. Just the cabin.
That's
cabin.
funny.
Cabin-like structure
With
a cot, so you don't have to sleep on the ground.
Okay.
That's good.
Yeah.
What else do we need, Erica? Food?
Yeah, food would be good. Yeah.
The food's good, and the mentors get like a nice little spread laid out in the afternoon when we arrive.
Okay. A door so the bears don't get us, or we're fine.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we have to put all of our toiletries, like anything that smells good, inside the bathroom structure, so that the critters don't break into the.
I like how she keeps saying structure.
I know. That means like there's something there.
There's like structure around it.
A compound. You'll be fine. It's a compound.
Yeah,
that sounds like fun though. That'd be interesting.
It's amazing.
When is it?
First weekend of August.
Okay.
That's like
that would be fun.
CEOs roughing it.
Yeah, exactly.
It is.
That would be a good story.
It
I'm
is.
into it.
It is.
It's not Girl Scouts, though. I misspoke.
No, it's Girl Scouts.
Oh,
It's a
is?
Girl
Yeah.
Scouts program.
Okay.
The girls apply to participate in it from all around Northern California. So it's everything up to the Oregon border and then
Girl
down
Scouts
to
have
the Bay Area.
definitely changed. That's true.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was saying, I'm trying to think of like why I never went into the Girl Scouts. I think it was the outfit, honestly.
Yeah, I remember going in and then going out. It was more of like I just didn't want to.
Yeah, they've addressed the outfit, so now they have like these cute girly tees, and then you just have like a little sash with your badge. So there's no more skirt or anything.
I don't even. It's ridiculous because I would wear costumes all the time and skirts and stuff. I don't know what it was, but they seemed they've like made it a little bit cooler.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, now they have like the online ordering for the cookies. It's like
all so many cookies
in the modern era.
Yeah. What else is the Girl Scouts? Now, what ages is it again?
It's basically all through elementary, all the way through high school. So there are different age ranges that we address. The Camp CEO project in particular is freshman through junior in high school. So like juniors rising to senior. So we want them to have this experience and still have at least one more year of high school after they have the experience.
That sounds really fun. I'm going to rope you into going.
Okay,
No
that would
pun
be
intended.
fun. No.
Of course.
Are you going to hold the rope or I'm going to hold it? I didn't like what you said.
Like fall and everyone catches you. I remember that being a camp thing. Yeah, the trust fall.
Yeah. That'd be fun.
Did you do the
That'd be fun.
Yeah, that would be fun. Horseback riding? Anything? Fishing? We go fishing?
Archery.
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 Okay.
Archery's
like
fun.
Braveheart. No, that'd be fun.
Like Braveheart. What's the cartoon one? With the girl with the red hair?
Yeah, isn't that Braveheart?
No, it's Brave.
Brave. Okay, I was close.
I was like, Mel Gibson.
That was very masculine.
Okay, I was so close. I was so close.
Yeah,
Okay.
you're in the vicinity. You got the one word.
Yeah, so I think
Stick with that, okay?
I'm working on it.
Oh my
God.
yeah, so everyone was getting on their inner Katniss because that's like the big archery thing.
Yeah,
now.
no, that would be fun.
So yeah.
That sounds really fun. Okay, I'm in. What do you guys have going on at? I'm trying to think of what other things we want to talk about so much, but anything really fun going on at LinkedIn? Like, what do you guys do for fun here? Like, what's a typical day like? And did you hate when people ask that? I'm like, I don't know. I sit at my desk and return emails and make phone calls and.
Yeah, my typical day is probably like an outlier for a typical web dev, but yeah.
What do you do? How do you occupy your time?
So a typical day, I mean, yeah, it depends on where you're at in your role. I typically am at a lot of meetings, like either it's a brainstorming meeting or planning meeting and kick things off. But then also we do wind up having fun. Like we keep it fun, keep it lighthearted.
You're trying to be really convincing right now.
Okay, so we do have it. No, I mean, I would say, it's pretty stressful throughout, like, the first, like, part of the week. It's like, hey, cramming everything in, trying to get things done. But then I think towards Friday, everybody's like, oh, Friday's coming, and more relaxed, like, whether it's an in-day. My team, the growth team, I mean, we tend to start having a little happy hour, like, every Friday. We have it 3 or 4, and just kind of hang out and chill and just make it relaxed. And so people start having fun getting ready
That's
for the
good.
weekend.
A couple hours of fun a week is okay.
Yeah, but then
more
people
than
they'll
that.
do ping pong or, they'll do
Yeah.
all sorts. Everybody has their own outlets, and so.
Well, we have in our area where I sit a Super Smash Brothers tournament going. So it's a video game, and basically people will come over during their lunch hour and basically play each other. And we've even done like brackets in our functional area where they play to see who wins the tournament. It's pretty fun.
I was gonna make a joke, but I'm gonna refrain.
Uh-oh.
No, I love it. I love geek fun because it's awesome. It's like this is how you're like bonding, and yeah, we do similar things. We throw footballs around sometimes though.
Nerf
guns.
Those are
Yeah.
huge here.
Paddleball.
Yeah.
I think the most fun with the Nerf guns was last summer. A bunch of people. There was some sort of weird gap week where kids were off, like in the spring or something, and so a bunch of people had their kids here, and the kids commandeered a bunch of the Nerf guns out of the cubicle areas, and they were going around on the scooters basically shooting all the employees, and so then it became like this all-out war. Like the whole floor was playing.
That's kind of fun to have. Do your kids ever come to work with you?
They have Bring Your Kids to Work Day. We do once a year, and it's really fun.
One time.
But
It's on a Friday at 4.
no, it's actually like a whole day event. God. It's pretty intense, and the kids think, "Oh, that's what you do for work, Mom." I'm like, "No, that's not how it works." But other things that we do too. I've been doing at team meetings the last couple of times. Is I'll just like have an event, and I'll bring some swag in, like a free, watch or something like that. That's a like an iWatch type of thing, and we'll play games like let's play musical chairs, and it's really funny to see like that many adults like actually play around. I actually made like YouTube videos, and they're serious, and they're like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna win that. Or plank poses, and it's like some people did it for like 7 minutes. I'm like, you're gonna die. That's probably not good, but yeah,
awesome.
Yeah. So
I would like to be a fly on a wall for that.
Yeah, that's fun.
Tell me about any kind of last parting words. Any new technologies that you're super jazzed about? Any new companies? Anything going on in the tech world that you are excited about? Trends? I'm kind of popping this on you, but just what comes to mind?
I think from a LinkedIn side, we're redoing our front end stack, so that's pretty exciting. Just to kind of get to a point where we can release software, multiple times. We do multiple times a day, but this is more of like, getting to like being able to like lower the QA cycle and bringing all that development more like unit testing, integration testing higher up in the stack. So then basically you can release software a lot faster. But it's like basically taking a look at everything we're doing and rewriting it, which I think is always fantastic to do, and just kind of looking at how we're doing stuff. So
yeah, and also kind of exploring the single page app concept. So I don't know if you're familiar with that, but there's the traditional, web page where you're on one page and you go to another.
Right.
But a single page app is more of like a holistic experience, and we definitely like to do that with several of our products.
Yeah, we've been talking about that a lot too on our technical side. Like, how do you keep people there and giving them enough context and narrative within the page to help them navigate around? Because once you take someone out of an experience, it's very difficult to know what they're actually doing.
Or they drop off. Or,
they drop off from a data standpoint and like understanding your user standpoint. It's very important. I was thinking more like, I love the new iWatch, but you guys are great for like...
We're like focused.
Yes,
We're focused.
I love the fact that you talked about LinkedIn. Kinley, who's like the PR person for the listening, is like, yeah, I did my job. It's cool. I coached them very well.
I'm only excited about technology if I can put it to use towards our mission and our vision.
Yeah. No, that's good. Any other parting thoughts? Anything else?
I think you guys nailed it. I don't know if there's any other fun projects that you're working on that you want to talk about. I think accessibility could be.
I actually have two tech questions from my CTO
Perfect.
that I almost forgot. So Raj, this is for you. 2 questions. 1, when will you have search for public LinkedIn posts?
For
search
public LinkedIn posts. So we have SEO as far as like search. So like we SEO all our content today. So you should have, are you talking about when you're like, for public posts, that'd be basically you're searching in a browser or Google and you're searching for posts that all our data is like SEO'd. So you should have
but
that.
Not within.
But within LinkedIn, when you go into LinkedIn, you should be able to search for.
You should be able to search by posts in the global
Okay.
in the global search box.
Yeah.
In the global search box? Okay.
Yeah, there's a little menu and you can narrow down what you're searching for, but you
By
can
type
of thing. But
Okay.
even if you just said posts on blah, it should be found.
Okay.
Right.
And if you know the author, anytime you post something, it'll stay on your profile.
Okay.
So I should clarify, anytime you write a publishing post, that lives forever on your profile unless
Okay.
you take it off. So when you do
You
status
just
updates,
find.
that just refreshes. That won't stay forever on your profile. But if you write a long form post, anyone that comes to your profile will then see that.
Okay.
there.
Is he looking for a particular author or a particular post or?
I don't actually know what the context for the question was, but that was number 1, so I'll let him know, and I'll ask again if there's more pointed information he wants. And then 2, when will you have search for keywords present in articles written by influencers?
So
It's
you
a very specific question.
You could do
all
that in
of
the search box.
Yeah, the global search should do that. So if
Yeah.
you do a keyword search and you narrow it down to posts,
Yeah.
you should be able to get that information.
Yeah, but if it's not intuitive for him, then that's a different problem.
Yeah, then that would fall into my area. So yeah,
I
definitely.
mean, it's the same thing. I was asking,
Yeah.
like, how do you make your profile anonymous? It's like, I don't think, and how do you, like, disconnect from people? Like, sometimes those things are buried a little bit, so just knowing those specific things is always good. But now I have 2 people I can call.
Yeah.
How do I do this? How do I make myself anonymous so I don't look like a creep?
The global nav bar is really
For
great, actually.
everything,
You can pretty much find and
that
get to
search
everything.
box is super powerful.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
really is.
Okay, good to know.
Yeah.
What does it mean if you have an all-star profile?
It's
is
very
that good?
complete.
Oh, that's complete.
Yeah, that
it
you're
just
in-
means that your profile's complete. It
Yes.
doesn't mean
Yeah.
you're like cool or something.
Well,
No,
you
it
are
means-
cool.
It means you're
Yeah.
cool.
You're cool that you're
Unless
complete.
there's a validation here. No, but I'm just wondering because when you see the different things, what it means. Because I was on my CEO's profile because I was doing some recruiting through there, and his was like whatever's the thing below All Star.
I don't know.
I don't know if we have leveling. Do we have leveling?
Oh, there's like a little
Yeah.
progress
Yeah.
meter, and it
Oh, the
tells you
profile
how,
edit, yeah.
how you're
Yeah.
doing. I don't remember what the nomenclature is for the
Yeah.
next level
Well, he
down.
was like the one
but-
below mine, and I was like, He goes, I don't think that means anything. I think it just means like my profile's less complete. I was
It's
like,
always a
oh.
competition.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, well, thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Gals,
Yeah.
people.
Yeah.
Not
Yeah.
horses.
Yeah, not horses. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Anyway, thanks for
Nice.
taking the time.
Yeah, it's nice seeing you again.